gotta write it down. That's good.
Still holding down the fort.
I'm Tom. Yeah. We've seen your name around. I'm bad about
For some reason, we're going.
like I'm going to have to use more of my voice than the microphone. Microphone doesn't seem to be working very well. But now I have a new appreciation for what the foremen go through every day when they try to line us up and we won't shut down.
You really don't care, do you?
Well, no, not really. But hey, I just want to start this off by saying that we are the only department in the entire mill that does this. This is right. You know, every year, or I should say every year, it seems like every year lately, but every time there's a retirement, there's a lot of things that go into it. And people have put a lot of effort into making sure these go smoothly. And for this, well, starting last year, Mr. Mike Callahan is really the leader of this. He's the one that organizes it. He's the one that picks the food, the drinking Previous to that, it was Paul Kachaha, and we want to thank him too. Mike Callahan has told me that I am forced to help him in the background. So, you know, but really I'm only a small part of this. But the reason why I really want to talk to you guys before we got started is because I'm a... Hi, Bill. I'm an MTM in the caster now. I've only been in the caster going on 3 years. More importantly, I only have 22 years seniority. And 22 years seniority out there, as you guys know, makes me pretty much nothing more than a punk kid. Okay? But there's... What? You can stick it in my mouth? Just like where I work. Alright. So can you guys hear me better now? Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks, some things never change. So, anyways, as I was saying, being part of the caster mechanical is a big deal to me. It's a big deal because of the unity that you guys have fought for. And being a millwright of only 22 years, as I was saying, nothing more than a punk kid, I have a true appreciation for everything you guys have fought for. When I got hired in, and currently I have things like welfares, air conditioning, heat, you guys fought for every bit of that. You guys fought to keep our holidays, you guys fought to keep our vacations, you guys fought to keep our S&A, our retirements, our benefits. And that is something that I got to walk into. I never had to fight for any of that. You guys did. So that's a big deal. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. So, with no further ado, I'm going to hand this over to our Vice President, where is he? Tim Dawkins. He's going to hand out our plaques and the donation that we give our retirees.
Where's our president?
Our president had previous family obligations.
That's always the way it goes.
Well, you know, you also have to understand that he spent 294 days trying to negotiate a contract with a stubborn company also, so he missed a lot of time with his little daughters that he has at home also. Pete wanted to be here tonight. Actually, his daughter had called him and said, "Daddy, you need to come to this event that I'm having." So I was hoping he'd be here. So he sends his apologies on that. He really wanted to be here also. Anyway, so sometimes, you know, as union leaders, sometimes we get good news and sometimes we get bad news. Well, of course, the good news, you know, we're here because some of our brothers are going to retire and go on to something different. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes we have to get bad news. Unfortunately, when I was at dinner, I got a text, and the text says that fortunately that retirements have been canceled by the company. So fortunately, 2 of you have already retired and seen that. But Mike, don't worry, we already filed a grievance on your behalf down there, so hopefully we'll have it straightened out.
We won't let it.
So I wasn't here to roast anybody, but they said we have to do that for you. You're a special one. So, and it's fortunately, you know, because as I was walking around the room and got to talk with a lot of guys, there's a lot of years of service members that have been in, that worked for Bethlehem, of course, ISG, and now ArcelorMittal. With the four that we're currently honoring today, if you really put it in perspective, they had just under 178 years of service out in that plant that they put out there. We all worked very hard. We all know that. That comes a given. That's with the job. So, but yeah, it's always.
Mike, quit working.
Yeah, I know. I just heard that quick. We still got a grievance in for him anyway.
Put in your hand. The microphone's not working.
The microphones.
No,
you know what happened? I'm gonna have to speak loud because it looks like the batteries went dead in this.
Oh, man.
Call electrician.
Probably batteries in the bed.
Where's Gallagher?
How about now? Is that back on? Yeah, so the first one we have, let me read this. They all say the same. And you know, it's an honor that the, get this one. This one here is on behalf of all the officers, grievers, and members of Local 6787. We sincerely appreciate your loyal and dedicated continuous years of service. And this is signed by Pete Trinidad Sr. And this first one's to Joseph Korlinski.
Speech! Speech!
We're gonna make you speak. All right, this one's for Michael Post.
The swamp is sinking.
Segway straight into our roast here.
Hey, Mike.
I love the swamp.
We'll get them all in there.
He's gonna miss the belt job.
Looks like that battery when dead is keeps popping in and out, so it's probably low there. The next one's for Raymond Blowers.
That's probably the first time somebody ever paid that.
And, all right, now one of the last ones that we have here. Hey, can I still get everybody's attention? We have one more. And this one is a little more difficult to do. Unfortunately, this one is also honoring Robert Carlson. Fortunately, Robert actually wasn't able to come here today because unfortunately he passed away. So we have one of his lovely daughters here today on his behalf. Well, I know it's 3 daughters that are here: Ruth, Cheryl, and Lisa. And I was just thinking that one of them would come up in his honor. But if all 3 of them want to come up and to make a spiel, we can do that too. Yeah, all 3.
So Paul?
You guys don't have stickers.
Hello? Well, I found out tonight that Cheryl is the oldest, right? Even though she's the smallest, she's the oldest. So Cheryl, Lisa, and Ruthie, thanks for coming out, but, you know, your father, you know, I've thought about this a lot. Just today in the locker room, one of our coworkers who's here tonight said, I miss Bob, and that's the same thing that a lot of us have said, we miss Bob. And unlike a lot of people who have worked with Bob a lot longer, I hadn't worked with Bob much before I first met Bob when he was working in the 408 and he ran into my car with the company truck. But my car was an old 85 Dodge van.
But you ran into the trailer by yourself.
No, that was somebody else. But Bob ran into my truck and my van, and he hunted me down and he apologized and he said, you know, I'll make it right. But he hardly did anything to it, and there was nothing ever done about it. But that was the first time I ever really met Bob on the job. And we worked several times when he came to the caster. And the thing is that Bob was kind of a character, to put it mildly. He wasn't, you know, he didn't want to ever come to any of these retirement parties. Even after I offered to pay him to go pay for his retirement, you know, his cost to go, he didn't want to come. He was kind of a, you know, he was a little on his own in that respect. But a lot of people, you know, he always talked about his wife and his daughters all the time. And when the thing I have told people a lot about Bob is he is one of the people in the steel mill that if you had the pleasure to meet, have had the chance to see somebody change in life, change from one kind of a person into another kind of a person. And Bob had a series of devastating events happen in his life that probably would have crushed most people. But, you know, first thing that happened that I recall was he lost a lot of money in the stock market. And those of us who were around that day, in our little lunchroom that we had, there was a telephone that stretched, that you had a long cord and you could actually go outside the door. And when the stock market crashed and he lost a lot of money, he was outside the door and you could hear him talking to his stockbroker, and all we could hear is, "What do you mean? It's all gone! What do you mean?" And he left, and he left the mill, and all we thought was, we're going to hear about a dead stockbroker the next day. But that didn't happen. But he left the mill that day, and then a horrible, devastating thing happened where his wife died and their mother died of an unnatural kind of an event where she went in for a hospital stay for some minor, and it turned into major, and she ended up dying from that. And that was a horrible loss on his behalf. And I think it was his faith and his love of his children that pulled him through that, on top of the stock market crash. Then I think he hurt I can't remember the exact order of events, but he crushed his leg in the mill with a work saver. He ran over his own foot with the work saver. And then his house burned down.
Oh my God.
And when his house burned down, we took up a big collection for him, because we take collections up for people when something like that happens. And plus we made a donation from the tool-room fund, which helps fund this kind of a thing. And you know, we all knew that he wouldn't just accept it, so we slipped it in his lunchbox. And he actually cried over that. And he was very moved by that compassion on our part as a collective in the shop. And he really changed. I think all these things that happened and maybe his faith and his love of his children, he changed into more of an outgoing person from what I saw.
and he started coming to retirement parties, and he started being a little bit different out there in the plant. Then when his house was rebuilt, he ended up falling and breaking his leg, putting stuff, getting ready for a graduation party for Ruthie, I think it was, right? And breaks his leg, and he's off for that. He's up. They have the graduation party. He's got his foot up in the air, and then he's getting a little better, and he borrows Ruthie's car, which was her mother's car, and takes it out there. She told me tonight he was supposed to go get supposed to get an oil change, and he wouldn't get groceries instead. I can't imagine Bob wanting to eat. But he gets in an accident. He pulls out in front of a truck that he never saw coming, and he ends up with 6 broken ribs, and ends up in a hospital and a rehab and everything else for quite a while. And then he had a lot of illness issues after that over a long period of time. Several times I thought he was going to die way before he did. And he didn't, and we were able to have Bob around for a lot longer. But, so Bob was, to a lot of us, that knew him and worked with him, and like some who said here tonight, they have a lot of stories to tell about Bob. None of them that were really good, though, but there are a lot of stories, and it would probably make you laugh. But Bob was a good guy, and we miss him. And thanks for your father, and thanks for coming here tonight.
All right, the first guy I'm going to call up here is Mr. Ray Blowers.
Lord, do I mean it?
You got to stand up here.
See, they like my name better.
Now, Ray started out his career in the caster and traveled around the mill a little, and then he decided to come back at the end and worked with us the last couple of years. And there's 2 words I think of when I think of Ray Blowers. It's ice cream. That's what I think of when I think of Ray Blowers.
It shows.
Because he really enjoyed when the Swans truck showed up, probably more than anybody else. Probably outdid Bob on that one. And this is what Ray looked like when he first started eating ice cream. He was a young, thin guy. But the amount he would eat, we were getting worried that if he didn't slow down, he might look like this in the end. But fortunately, looks like he's been able to cut back. He's doing okay.
Sort of.
Now, the last time the Swans truck showed up, we were sitting around the lunchroom and we thought, man, it's a shame Ray's not here. So someone said, well, why don't we save some of the ice cream for him? So each guy went out there and they talked the guy into giving us a box of ice cream, and we kept it. We put it in a freezer for him. So I brought it with us today. We got Ray a big bag of ice cream to take home. Because we know how much he liked it.
That might be enough.
I mean, there's some of his favorite flavors in here. Wait a second. There ain't nothing left in these boxes. Looks like they ate it all, Ray. I don't know what to tell you. Well, it looks like we gave Ray a bunch of Swans.
Where's my magnums?
Well, it looks like we got you a bunch of Swans boxes to remember you by there, Ray. All right, next I'd like to have Mr. Michael Post come up here.
I got these out of Kevin's freezer.
Now, luckily, we had enough time. We knew Mr. Post was going to retire. Okay, Mike. That we had time to put some trainees with them. And he was able to mold these young men into the millwrights that they are today.
His kids.
But I'm kind of sad to tell you, Mike, in the short week you've been gone, the wheels have fallen off. We were down all week, and them guys were in the Strand arguing all week. Tony told me
We've only called him 3 times.
not on your shift.
Mike,
Yeah, they're all arguing over who's in charge and who's going to take over. So I don't know, I think you might have to come back for a short term and straighten these kids out.
Ain't gonna happen. Woody's a surrogate.
Thanks, Al. All right, I'm trying. All right, so anyone who knows Mike knows he really likes cars, and he's been into them for a long time. And I had never been over to his house, but I always heard he had a real nice garage, and I wanted to see it, so I snuck over there one night, and I got a picture of him and a couple of the guys working in the garage. Now, Al, and that's Jim. See, I was going to say I heard Al and Jim were there, but I didn't know which guy was which. All right, but seriously, you know, Mike's been doing this a long time, and he's amassed some equipment, and I heard that he even has a pit that you can work on cars. Oh wait, this is actually, go back, Rich, I skipped one. This is the latest car he's been working on. This project, he's customizing it.
Tells.
That looks pretty nice. I mean, he's going to get a lot of money for that someday. But he even has a pit. He even has a pit where you can work on cars. He put this together, and that's pretty nice. But this wasn't enough for Mike, so he decided to get himself a car lift. And anytime you get any new tool, you got to get used to it. And there were a few kinks in the beginning. But as time went on, Mike learned how to use it. And he got so good that even Ken Halinga brought his truck to him, and Mike did some work on the frame for him. He straightened it out pretty nice.
Was it that bad, Ken?
But seriously, it was nice to work with you, Mike. I mean, I worked with you a long time. You were one of the first guys I met when I came there. I appreciate it. And hopefully you have a long and healthy retirement. I don't know why I saved Kobe for last. Maybe it's because we had to work with him, you know, for a couple of years there after Nick retired. But I liked working with Joe. He always made you laugh. And one thing you learned about Joe is, I guess you could say he was excessively frugal. That would be, you know, a nice way of putting it. And after Joe had his house built, we noticed this lump in the backyard, and we asked him what it was. Well, he said it was his septic system, but we later found out he had been burying his money in the backyard, and it had grown so much, it started bubbling up. And Joe felt this was a lot safer than putting it in banks, but recently we found out that that mound might not be so safe. It's under attack, Joe. Now, as most of you know, Joe's also into cars and has had them all his life and really loves working on them and loves driving around and showing them off. Now, he brought pictures into work and showed us his car, and it looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Well, we were sitting around one night looking at this picture, and we noticed it just didn't look right. So we started to suspect that it's been photoshopped. So I talked to Rich and I said, is there any way to reverse the Photoshop? And it turns out this is what it really looks like. Thanks, Rich. Amazing what you can do with a computer these days. Now, one of the things I always thought would be neat, I thought it'd be neat if you could go back and find a guy's old mill IDs, the pictures and that. So I started asking around the office, and it turns out they do keep all of them. So I said, hey, can you get me Joe's when he hired in? And this is it. Now, as time went on, Joe aged a little, and this was his last photo. Now, some of you might not recognize Joe like this, so we thought we better put a picture where you would more recognize him. That's Joe at work in the boxcar, in his natural state. But all joking aside, Joe, I enjoyed working with you. I hope you have a happy retirement and enjoy yourself. Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. It's good seeing everyone again, and hang out as long as you like. Have a drink.
Have a drink.
All right, thank you, guys. Hey, if everyone here has something he'd like to say.
Cherry one. Yeah, you guys know, we all had our busted fingers or hands.
There
Hand area.
Hello? Hello? Is it working?
Real close.
You're gonna have to yell here.
Yeah, I know through the years, everybody probably had their hands busted or their fingers or something.
It's not working right, Kevin.
Not working, huh?
Yeah, there it is.
I know through the years, everybody had their hands busted or their fingers or some way got hurt out there. And, but that was part of the job. There's a lot of jobs we didn't like, a lot of jobs we didn't want to do, but we did them anyway. We're all brothers, just like a Vietnam. We're all brothers, we had your back. And there's one thing I want to say, like Steve Yatzek, and Bill Donovan, and Winnie. I want to declare that you guys are no longer wing nuts. I like to say that from the last party we had, I didn't do it. I just thought I'd throw that in. Yeah, I treat you guys all as brothers, and enjoy working with you. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else like to say something?
Yeah, you know, you talked about the origins of these parties. The origins of these parties go back to Bill Donovan. I don't know who before you was organizing these parties, but when I came over in 95,
My mother used to do it.
what? Your mother used to do it? When I transferred over in 95, they were having these parties, and I remember Bill Donovan as hosting these parties rather well.
Be safe out there, guys. I mean, it's a dangerous ass place out here. People get around to let them go over and sleep, they do still goes down.
Or just started working MTM over at Castro. I've been out there for about 2 years. I'm one of Mike's cronies that he had the pleasure, one of his kids, they had the pleasure of training for the last couple of years. And I've been out there coming on 20 years. I was down at Y&T for 17. Decided to go MTM and was lucky enough to get locked into the swamp with this guy over here. In those 2 years, I probably learned more from anyone out there in the mill than anyone else I've ever worked with. The guy always looks out for you, always makes sure you're safe, and make sure you're doing the job right. And I love it about him, and everybody that's worked with him or has had him work with them on certain jobs, and it's pretty much everybody in the room, knows what I'm talking about. The guy's just great, and I got him something. I know he's going to be a fan of this, but I got you a little something that we had everybody sign. You want to come up here? It's just my way of saying thanks, because a little appreciation goes a long way around here.
I appreciate it. I do.
If there's anybody else that wants to sign it or put a little something on there for them, I'll leave it up here on the table. We got a marker. I know there's a couple guys I wasn't doing house calls. But there's still some room up here.
Thanks, Tony. Welcome to the club. You invited me into the house. Welcome.
dealt with. Hey, how are you, buddy? How are you?
I retired in 2002, and I'm going to tell you something. Every one of these people are like family to me. I've worked longer with them than I've been married to my wife. So they're more family to me than my wife is. And I want you to know I love every one of you, and I've worked diligently with you and loved every minute of it. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.